Hey, hello, brothers and sisters, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, lads and ladesses. Welcome once again to Freeline FM with me, Rabbi Israel Ben Heeman. Hey, look, I'm sorry I've been away for such a long time, but I've had some pretty serious health issues, which hopefully I'm now recovering from fairly well. But I haven't forgotten you, all my followers and all the people who very much rely on getting some of the news, not to mention the Christian Nation blog, which obviously I'll be coming back to do at a later stage. I'm still a little bit breathless after a very bad bout of bronchitis and COPD, which I have. So I don't want any sympathy. If you want to pray, that would be okay. But I don't want anything from you other than that. We all have our crosses to bear, and this is mine. But anyway, what I wanted to do was come on here and inform you of something that's going on in the United States and in the United Kingdom with regard to, let's call it what it is, the black shirts, the government filth, the pigs, the police. They've become a law unto themselves. It seems that they believe, at least, and to some extent in practice, they can do pretty much whatever they like to you and get away with it. Qualified immunity, they call it. Unless, of course, it's a criminal offence, or, as they say in the United States, a felony, then they don't get qualified immunity for that. They have to stand trial for their crimes just like anybody else. Unfortunately, they live in the pockets and stand cheek to jowl with federal prosecutors and district attorneys, and in the case of the United Kingdom with the CPS, Crown Prosecution Service, who are quite happy to throw a blanket or a shroud over their misdeeds. People, generally speaking, are getting beaten up. Cops are pulling people over at the side of the road, and for a simple thing like a tail light that's gone out, or a number plate's come loose and fallen off, something as simple as that. They're escalating that. They love doing DUI, drunk under the influence, or driving under the influence. They love doing that one. And they always find an excuse to say, oh, you're resisting, which then results in this suplex action, which they learned in the academy, which comes straight out of the professional wrestling ring, and basically slams a suspect down to the ground, face first, into the concrete, with their arms pinned to their sides, or even in many cases handcuffed behind their back, and therefore they're unable to break their fall. And we've got busted teeth, broken jaws, broken noses, and even in several severe cases, we've discovered that there are some people who come away with a broken spine or a broken neck and end up paralyzed with nothing below the neck but memories. And so I've been posting quite recently about this, and I'm calling it my Cops Out of Control program. And basically what I want you all to do is to take a look at them. I'm bouncing it on every social media that I can think of except Facebook. I'm no longer on Facebook. Had enough of Facebook. My wife was doing some of our videos. She likes to take videos when she's riding on the back of the motorcycle, doing the countryside and the animals and that sort of thing. And she's on the point of monetization, and immediately Facebook said, no, they're not your videos, you're hijacking them. We suspect you of criminal enterprise and blah, blah, blah. Of course, they had absolutely no reason for that. None at all. But I said, hey, Zuckerberg, stick it in your whatever. And I'm so fed up with them. I just walked out on Facebook. Facebook is a criminal enterprise. They're as crooked and as bent as the cops that I'm talking about. And they deserve to go out of business, and their CEOs and hierarchy of their machinery deserve to be thrown in jail for the rest of their lives. I hope eventually that will happen. But anyway, I'm not on Facebook, but I am on lots of others like Getter and some of the new stuff that's emerged. MeWe, of course, I'm on there, and Wimkin, I'm on there as well, and quite a lot of others. X, of course, I'm on there. Excuse me. And you can find me on loads and loads of different platforms, just not on Facebook. And you can see just how out of control these cops are, including, would you believe, kicking down people's doors at 3 o'clock in the morning, barging in, grabbing the occupants of the house, slamming them up and down onto the floor, using this suplex action that they've learned in the academy, putting them in handcuffs, and then discovering that, oh dear, we've got the wrong house. But do they apologise? Do they release them from the handcuffs? Do they say, oh, we're sorry, we've made a mistake? No, they don't. What they do is they charge them with resisting, anything else they can think of, so that they can cover up the fact that they've broken the law by entering a person's home without a warrant or without exigent circumstances to support and back up their actions. And unfortunately, when all of this reaches their commanders say, well, not to worry about it. And in several of these cases, we've come across where the door has been kicked in, $2,500, $3,500 worth of door smashed to smithereens, the door jamb smashed off its framework, and various items of the house smashed and wrecked, and damage upwards of $20,000 to $30,000, and then they discover they're in the wrong house, and the authorities say, "Oh well, tough luck. You'll just have to stamp for it," and they won't pay for the damage, even though, the people in the house have done nothing wrong, and the cops barged into their house without a warrant, and and proceeded to assault these innocent people who have been fast asleep in their beds, and they've wrecked their home. They won't stop until we, the people, stop them. Now, I love to go along with many things that are being rolled out in a new administration by Donald J. Trump, the 47th President of the United States. I do applaud many things that he's doing, but I don't applaud this. He supports the boys in blue, then they're not the boys in blue. they're not the friends that they pretend to be. They may be there ostensibly to protect and serve, but they don't do that. They do not protect, they do not serve. What they do is they terrorise. And Donald J. Trump carries on protecting them, supporting them. And as far as I'm concerned, if for no other reason at all, I couldn't care less who it is that beats him at the polls, but I hope somebody does. Because if he won't do anything about the cops, then he won't do anything about anything at all to protect the American people. And in the United Kingdom, well, the police have been a political tool of various prime ministers from Margaret Thatcher onwards, carrying out their skullduggery on behalf of the government and then walking away with impunity. I wash my hands of Great Britain, to be honest with you. I have no... I don't feel any kinship with that country at all, where I feel kinship with other countries around the world. Being Jewish, of course, I feel my main kinship with Israel. But other countries where I have lived, I lived in Germany for many years, I feel a kinship with Germany. I lived in Holland for 5 years, and I feel a kinship with that country and those people. And I've lived in the United States, and I've lived in Southeast Asia, and I've lived all over various countries of Europe. I currently have a home in Spain. Right at this moment, my wife and I are at our farmhouse, working very hard on the farm down here in the Philippines. And I feel a kinship with all of these countries and all of these people. My father was English, and for a brief time at least, I was brought up in England, where I attended the brainwashing academy. They failed miserably to brainwash me. Far too smart for them. Even at 7 years old, I was still smarter than the teachers were. And so I feel no kinship with Great Britain, and I don't feel any kinship with any country who simply allows its government to succeed where Adolf Hitler failed. Now, we take on to ourselves a great deal of sympathy and empathy with the wonderful people of Persia or Iran, and I'm always watching Maya Tuzi and his wonderful news channel, which you can get on YouTube, keeping us up to date on what's going on there. By the sounds and the looks of things, they staged a very successful revolution, overthrown the Ayatollahs, and hopefully this country will now reinstate their crowning the Shah, and Iran can go back to being Persia and become the great democracy that it should always have been. That would be a really great thing. And of course, all the horrible police that have been doing terrible things for 40 odd years whilst the Ayatollahs have been in charge, they're now in serious danger. And that's where we need to put the police of the Western world. They are out of control. They have scant or absolutely no regard for regulation regarding their conduct. And they certainly don't believe in law for them. They only believe in law for us. And they believe that they are judge, jury, and executioner. They don't believe that anybody else has a right to intervene. It's pick you up, body slam you to the ground face first, and then take whatever's left of you to jail. I saw a couple of days ago a poor gentleman, a veteran who had become diabetic, and I'm assuming, and I am assuming, that was type 2 diabetes, and he was having a diabetic episode, and the filling station or gas station where he was having this episode, the attendant there decided he was going to call the police because he was concerned for the man's safety. He wasn't reporting a crime or anything like that. And the police turned up, and sure enough, Karen Kopp jumps out of the police car, and the first thing she's going to do is resort to violence. It's the only thing cops know. Along comes her partner, he picks him up, body slams him to the ground. This guy's an elderly gentleman, he's in his 60s, he's having a diabetic episode, and they tried to charge this guy with assaulting a police officer, even though they realised that he was having a diabetic episode. And medics came along, paramedics. They checked the guy out. The paramedic said, this guy is now one of our patients and we need to take him to hospital. And the police officer overruled them and said, no, you're not taking him to hospital, we're taking him to jail. They took him to jail. He remained in jail for 4 days. He was denied medication, he was denied medical treatment, and he was abused in every possible way. Now, when they realised that they were going to all end up with a murder charge because he was fading fast, they finally got him to the hospital where he was treated. Are these cops being prosecuted for what they did? Don't forget, the denial of medical attention is a well-recognised crime against humanity, recognised by the International Criminal Court. These people need to go to jail for the rest of their lives, but it's unlikely that they will. What I'm doing here today is just whetting your appetite to what my campaign now is all about. It's sorry, please do excuse me. I'm having a bad time with my my breathing apparatus at the moment. These cops need to be held accountable, and they're not being held accountable. So I'm pushing out on every social media platform you can think of. I'm on Truth Social, I'm on Wimkin, I'm on just about everything except Facebook. I'm on Gab. Gab's a good one. You can get some good stuff on Gab. And all of these cops, and I'm posting 1 or 2 of these videos, which are not my videos. I'm taking them from YouTube and then presenting them for you. I'm not clever enough to make videos like this. I let somebody else make them, and then I post them, which is perfectly legitimate. It's on YouTube, it's therefore in the public arena, and I can post it on. And hopefully you will watch these and hopefully take the appropriate action. The appropriate action being complain, complain, and complain even more to your representatives, those so-called elected officials who are supposed to take care of our current welfare and future well-being. Unfortunately, even they do not do so. But hey, let's keep pushing it in their direction. One thing is sure, these cops don't like being publicly exposed because they have to live in a community. And if they live in a community where they're held accountable by the people, they may just get the idea that it's time to stop being a bunch of vicious thugs in a uniform and becoming what they are now being called, the Blue Mafia. So, brothers and sisters, that's the end of my little diatribe. I'm sorry it's taking so long, but hey, don't worry. We're going to be back with the Christian Nation blog, and we will also be back with our news channel as well, bringing you up to date on all the current events and stuff like that. But we need some time to get going again now. We're on our travels. We're on our travels back to Europe again in 3 weeks' time, and from Europe, where we will have more time to do these things, we will launch our new campaign to bring awareness of so many different things to your attention, including the word of the Lord. Let's not forget that. That's what our main message is. Jesus loves you, and he died on the cross to save you from oblivion. We'll be back with all of that at a later time, as I say, when we return to Europe. Until then, goodbye for now, and God bless you.